Hey guys, how you doing? Ron here with Tech Tips to Go. In today's video, I want to kind of ask you guys, what is your exit strategy for Ethereum and Vechain? As you guys know, I bag BTC, Ethereum, mostly Vechain and XRP. So I kind of wanted to kind of go over this with everyone out there, but also ask you guys, what is your exit strategy? Because this is my part one strategy or video of, I'm going to be talking about my exit strategy. So, and then how I kind of look at my investments and where I invest and why I hold more altcoins than Bitcoin. Why do I hold VeChain? Why do I hold XRP and Ethereum? And why less Bitcoin? So I had that question and discussion with a lot of my friends, and let's just go to I'm going to show you Coinbase here. So let's look at Coinbase, and when you look at the percentage gains and the Bitcoin halving, so most of you guys already know what the Bitcoin halving happens every 4 years. If you look at the trends and percentage gains over the years, the very first Bitcoin halving was great percentages. The second Bitcoin halving was a lot more, and then the third and fourth, we don't know exactly the percentage gains, but if you compare it to altcoins and other ICOs, you can see that companies like Ethereum compared to Bitcoin's percentage gains during the halving or after the halving was such a big difference. I think in Ethereum it was almost a 200,000% gain. So when people ask me about VeChain, it's like, well, what do you think VeChain is going to end up at the year 2020 or 2021? And I look at it a couple of different ways. It's like it could go to 10 cents. Maybe we're lucky if it goes to 9 cents. And like I mentioned before, if Bitcoin has a huge moon bullish run, then we might get to $1, we might get to $9, but who knows? And it's just a matter of time and how long you're willing to hold. And I made those videos, and I want to make this video so you could kind of do the same thing and put more things in perspective and figure out, okay, well, Bitcoin did this, Ethereum did this. So let's go, here, let's go to Bitcoin. So here is Bitcoin, and we are searching, and look at this screen here. So this is in 2016. We're sitting about $600 US. So as the bull run came 2017 after May, so I think it was around December, look at the percentage gains here. So we went to roughly 18,000%. So the next bull run for BTC, does that guarantee that we're going to get an 18,000% gain on every altcoin? We don't know. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to compare this to Ethereum and two other altcoins. I wanted to make this short. So let's take that. Let's take those numbers. So let's say 18,000%, right? And we times it by VeChain is sitting at 0.004, let's say. So it's 72 cents, which I think is fantastic. If you hold over 5 million coins or 10 million coins and you multiply that times, so you multiply, 72 cents, and this is, you've made that much money over, your time, right? So that's perspective. If you had 10 million coins, but a lot of the subscribers and the people that I've spoken to in comments, a lot of you guys are holding roughly about 1 million coins. So like the Thunder node, I think it's called. So that's 1 million coins, times 0.782. You made 720,000 US, which is a huge return, because 1 million coins is going to cost you about 3,000 US, right? So now let's go back to let's compare this Bitcoin halving price to Ethereum. So that was 18,000%. So let's go to Ethereum. Now check out Ethereum. So let's go to all, and 2016, is hovering around 11 cents. And this is what amazing me amazes me about Ethereum is Ethereum was, you know, as low as 60 cents or, you know, less than $1. So anyways, let's go to the peak, you know, after the halving. So 2017 May, 2016, sorry. And then we hover around, you know, 160, and it's going up, you know, 21,000%, 35,000, 41,000, 46,000. And it just amazes me because when you look at this chart history and some other altcoins, I think there's Monero was another one. We'll go to that coin. But look at this. So it went 100,000% gain. And then, so right there at its peak, I think we reached roughly 198,000%. I can't get it spot on. 198,000. So let's say, you know, let's round it up 200,000%. Amazing number. And we're going to multiply this by VeChain's, you know, that's 2,000. So 0.004, and we get $8 a share. So you had 1 million coins at 3,000. You waited patiently. Now your investment's 8 million. You know, right? So everyone's looking at hindsight, and you know, everyone's dreaming big, and you know, I do it too, right? I can't really wait, and that's why I'm so excited in this bull run and when it's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but I know, like, my personal opinion is, like, with the pandemic and COVID-19, things have just been put, you know, on hold, right? Like, imagine if there wasn't a pandemic and consumer confidence was still, you know, high. People were spending, people were investing, because as you saw in the S&P and the Dow, you know, it was just on an uptrend for years, for so many years, and then we had this, and then boom, everyone's consumer confidence just went to crap. Everyone's at home, everyone's saving, either saving or just, you know, everyone's losing their jobs. They're trying to look for employment. They're worried. They're trying to save as much as they can in case they lose their job. So imagine we didn't have this. So that's why I'm saying I think, you know, the bull run might happen, you know, might be pushed back 1 year, 2 years. But like I mentioned in my other videos, once a vaccine does come, then I feel like a lot of people, you know, it's just going to bring, you know, it's going to boost everyone's consumer confidence really big. More spending is going to happen, and hopefully, you know, we all enjoy this ride and just see this bull run. And that's why I even tell my father, like, not my father, but, you know, I've told my father, and, you know, I tell a lot of my friends, I'm like, just Google the Bitcoin halving, look at the ICOs, look at coins that you know, that you like to invest into, and do your market research, and enjoy the journey and the ride. Because, like I mentioned, you know, this halving happens every 4 years, and then it kind of spikes, maybe let's say every 5 years, and it's fun to be in that journey, you know, as long as you can afford to lose what you put in, right? So, like I mentioned in all my other videos, this is not financial advice, but I kind of, it's like me playing poker. Like I play a lot of high stakes poker. I'll get into some of those videos because these videos actually kind of interest you. A lot of people, like, you know, I play a lot of high stakes poker. There's a lot of pros and everything, so I've got a lot of pictures with some interesting characters. But I'm a heavy risk taker, and my wife knows that. Before I mentioned, you know, we got into a lot of real estate, so, and that's where I made a lot of my bulk of my money in my earlier days, is because if it wasn't for my wife, I would say I'd probably be broke, because she kind of like laid down the rules and said, kind of looked at all my statements like, wow, you're just like a spender and a risk taker, and et cetera, et cetera. And we eventually, you know, when we got married and everything, we kind of put a lot towards like real estate, rental properties, development properties, etc. And now we're rewarding it from it, and now I don't have to stress as much. I'm kind of like not semi-retired, but in my business we only take on clients that we want to work with, and I don't have to hustle as hard. Probably 2-3 years ago, I had probably like 4 corporations. And that was too much, because I was really big on diversifying, whether it's diversifying assets or diversifying income. But with business, it's different. It's like when you're trying to manage like 4 corporations and it's just yourself, there's just too much on my plate. and I felt I was focusing more or less like 20% here on that company, 20 here and 20 there. So in 2019, I decided like I'm just going to focus on a couple of things. But anyways, I'm talking way too much, guys, but you've probably seen that with my other videos. Like I like to ramble a lot. So, let's get back to here. So we go into Ethereum, and imagine that, like, expectations 200,000%. So, a 2,000% increase, it's just, the numbers are unreal. But then, so I wanted to talk about the exit strategy. So my exit strategy with this is, so let's say I put in 10,000 into Vechain, right? So I'm gonna wait until that bull run happens, and as I see prices increase like this, so let's say it goes, we get a 40,000% increase, I'm probably gonna pull out my initial investment just to make sure I break even on that return on investment, which might be, let's say it was only like 1 million coins, maybe I'll take 100,000 coins, cash out of that, and kind of wait for that bull run. But also create a lot of alerts in terms of, like, you could create alerts on Coinbase or on Binance, and just, because it's very hard to time the peak. So if you're in the last bull run, I know a lot of people who were too greedy and they waited, and so they missed this opportunity when Ethereum was at 1,400. So it went down, and look, if you look at this chart, went down and went down. They waited around here. I think my buddy David was like, okay, well, it's 445. I have a feeling it's going to go back up to 1,400 or past 1,400. But I think he mentioned he might have sold like around here. But, it's, he could have had could have, would have, should have, right? But, everyone has to look at their exit strategy and put that number into their mind is, okay, well, when it reaches this, when are you going to leave, right? And I kind of compare this to my poker days is like, let's say I buy in like $5,000, $10,000 and sitting in high stakes cash game or 100,000. When am I going to leave? Am I going to leave when I've doubled up or have made 300,000 or what, right? Like, it's just, you got to sit down and think about your strategy and your exit strategy. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't really pay attention. I just put my money in and I'm going to set and forget. But I like to say, guys, this is not your traditional Dow or S&P or traditional stock that you've invested and you're expecting dividends and it's just going to grow long term. No, you got to keep an eye on the markets and figure out your strategy. Unless, you have a lot of time and you're in your early 20s and you could go through these bull runs that happen every 4 or 5 years. But we don't know what's going to happen, right? Because there's only 21 million coins out with Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin halving, like we mentioned, like I think there's X amount of more halvings that are going to happen. And, we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't even know what's going to happen with this next bull run. We don't know. It could, we might already pass the bull run. There might not be one, etc. So, but, time will tell, right? And so that's my exit strategy is I'm going to take out probably, 10% when I get my initial return on investment back, sit back, and then I've got a number. I'm hoping, that VeChain is going to hit $1 to $2 in the near future. Not near future, but when it reaches about $2, that's when I'll probably take majority of my shares and cash out, right? But I'm also going to keep in, a little bit more out in my portfolio, in my cold wallet, to kind of still enjoy that journey and see where it moves, right? Because if you've left, so let's say you've left like 1 million coins in your cold wallet, and for example, let's say VeChain goes to $75, like that's 75 million, right? But will it? I don't know. I find it hard to believe, but like I mentioned, you never know. Like, look at Ethereum. Ethereum went up 200,000%. So let's look at another coin here, which is Monero. So you've got Monero. Here's another example. So Monero was like, came out hovering around $2 in 2014. $1 went down to 40 cents, right? And then after the halving, you know, it went up to 16,244. So if you take that, let's say 17,000, and you multiply VeChain's current price, so it's 68 cents, right? So just putting those numbers in to your head. But we don't know, like I mentioned, we don't know. Like, this next Bitcoin halving might be really massive, might not be. So, you know, you take your chances. Hey, but I want to talk about, guys who are watching, Digibyte. For you who invest in Digibyte, let me know more about this coin, because I always get notifications. When you look at Coinbase, you look at the top gainers, you always see Digibyte in the last like 2-3 weeks just gaining solid percentage gains. I think they've gone from 0.003 to 0.008. You can see on my screen, it's 1,000% increase. And like I mentioned, you know, it was 0.0001, you know, back in 2014, all-time peak 0.33. But every time I get notifications on Coinbase, it's just Digibyte. And then I start to do more research on Digibyte itself, and they kind of have a cool offering, right? So it could process transactions for Bitcoin very fast, I think in 30 seconds. So that's what, you know, their go-to is, and it describes it here in Coinbase. So it's a cryptocurrency that describes itself as a secure, faster, and forward-thinking blockchain technology. It offers 5 different proof-of-work consensus algorithms in an effort to prevent mining centralization. So if you go to their website and look, you know, their 4 or 5 main offerings of what they promise and everything, it sounds pretty interesting. But, you know, I don't want to get like the shiny object syndrome and start putting my money into here, here, and here, because then you got to keep up with a lot of news, and then you know, at the end of the year, you ended up with like 20 investments of different ICOs. You know, you got VeChain, you got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum, blah, blah, blah. And it's just too much. So right now, like I mentioned, I hold Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP, and VeChain, right? VeChain being the most. And the reason why I don't hold as much Bitcoin, or Bitcoin's not my top bag producer, or percent of holdings, is because if you look at the trends in the chart, every halving is less and less of a percentage of gains. And if you look at the altcoins, they've got higher gains, you know, and the barrier to entry is low. Like VeChain, you can get it into VeChain for less than 0.004, and it's got more potential to possibly get, you know, like the Ethereum 200,000% gains, right? But who knows, we might get into 14,000% gains. So anyways, that's my strategy. That's why I don't hold as much Bitcoin, but who knows, like I could be proven wrong, and Bitcoin, like some crazy people are saying that it could go up to $1 million a coin. And if it does, then, you know, I've got, you know, a nice percentage of Bitcoin. So anyways, I want to make this short. Probably wasn't as short as I thought it'd be. I was trying to get underneath 5 minutes. But guys, let me know your strategy, your exit strategy below. And I'm always open. I'm interested in hearing your comments below. So let me know in the comments, and let me know about Digibyte as well if you guys hold that. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.